WTIM.com, brought to you by your friends at the regional radio stations.
WTIM. You're listening to the WTIM morning show on your information station, and it's sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. I'm your host, Reed Kamai, and there's quite some good news out of Taylorville Memorial Hospital. They got a top rating for patient recommendation from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. And here to talk about that and much more is Taylorville Memorial Hospital's President and CEO, Aaron Puchbauer. Aaron, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me today, Reed. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's good to have you on. And I know we had you on about a month or two ago for the first time, I think, at least correct, in that role. Yeah. How long have you been at the company now?
I've been here in Taylorville about 2.5 months now. So
okay. Yeah, so pretty recent, and you and I were talking before. It seems like you folks are acclimating pretty well.
Yes, we are. You know, I've got a wife and 3 boys, and overall, just the community here in Taylorville has been very accommodating and very welcoming of our family. So we certainly appreciate that. We've moved several times throughout my career, and overall, the move here to Taylorville has gone very smooth, and just very thankful to a lot of community members for making that happen for us. So a lot of great things to say about the community of Taylorville as a whole. Yeah,
no, that's great, and I'm happy for you folks that you've gotten that sort of adjustment coming to Taylorville and to Taylorville Memorial Hospital, which, as I said, got that top rating in patient recommendation from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Yeah, first, just talk a little bit about that outcome there and kind of how you got to it.
Yeah, no, I'd be glad to do that, Reed. We were a 5-star hospital, like you said, for highly recommend based on the HCAHPS survey with the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. They're a government agency that oversees the Medicare and Medicaid programs. They have an HCAHPS survey, which stands for Hospital Consumer Assessment of Healthcare Providers and Systems. So kind of a mouthful there, but just simply it's their patient survey that they send to all hospitals across the country to evaluate the quality of the patient care in the hospital. So these are sent throughout the country to over 3,000 hospitals nationwide. And then overall, they get feedback and rate hospitals based on a STARS program for these questions, based on a 1-star, which is the lowest rating, up to a 5-star, which is the highest rating. And Taylorville Memorial Hospital was both a 5-star for highly recommend for nurse communication, as well as cleanliness. So rated very high. 5 stars is kind of tops rating in the country in those areas. So just very proud of our colleagues that provide care every day to patients. We want to make sure we have an opportunity to really kind of brag on them and all the great work that they do each and every day.
Yeah, and it sounds like it from what you've said, well, now and in the last time you were on. Now, in terms of the timing of this, because I remember, I think it was last time you were on, we were talking about that 5-star rating for cleanliness. So is it that it, like, you got the 5 stars then, and then it just took a little while to get the rating for now this one?
That is correct. Yeah, that is correct, Reed. They come out with these ratings usually every month or two throughout the spring and early summer. So our cleanliness rating came out, I believe, in the month of May, that we were a 5-star there. So we were one of 13 hospitals in the state of Illinois for cleanliness, one of 374 across the country of about 3,000 hospitals. So a lot of great work there around cleanliness. They were recognized in the month of May. And then here in the month of June, we were recognized as 5 stars for nurse communication, as well as 5 stars for highly recommend.
Yeah, and that's great for you folks, and I'm sure as well for the patients. Looking into kind of some of these other ones, I know in terms of the communication, read here, let's see. TMH nurses excel at explaining concepts clearly and listening closely to their needs. And that seems like something that's important for the patients in terms of getting the care that they need.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's a core piece of the overall quality of care. We talk a lot about the technical things that patients see, whether it be different testing and things like that. But overall, the true quality of the patient experience also really relies on the ability for patients to understand their condition, understand why they're in the hospital, how we're going to help them improve their health and get better. So a lot of the questions that CMS takes a look at around for how well were patients treated for courtesy and respect, How well did the hospital members actively listen to the patient's concerns? And how well did we clearly explain what was happening in the patient's care and help them with discharge planning to get home and be healthy once they're home and out of the hospital? So overall, just courtesy and respect, active listening, and really meeting their expectations.
Yeah, and it sounds like it. And so in terms of patient recommendation, now it says here, so patients highly likely to recommend TMH to others. So like I mean, I'm sure there are more metrics than that in terms of patient recommendation. Kind of what goes into that one specifically.
Yeah, so for on the highly recommend, it's just simply a question that's kind of simply stated that says, would you recommend this hospital to your friends and family? So as we kind of take a look at this, the highest, overall feeling we get is when people recommend us to others. I think as a business, you take a look at any type of business in the industry. If others that have used your business would recommend it to their friends and family, that's just a major compliment. So being able to be rated 5 stars in this area is just a huge compliment to our staff and the quality of care they give every day, that others would say, hey, I would receive great care at Taylorville Memorial Hospital. I think you will too. So it's really a great thing for the hospital to be recognized in that manner.
Yeah, and that's got to feel great. Just getting that. Like it's essentially a form of positive feedback, as I'm sure you'd agree. And
Yep.
it's largely speaking unprovoked. So, if you get that, then, it's clearly you're doing something right. Speaking of what it is you're doing, I'm sure it took some effort to get to this 5-star rating, as long as the others as well in those other areas. Talk about what you folks at TMH might have done. I know you've only been there now for 2.5 months, but just talk about what went into that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that happened before my arrival here at TMH that really led to those good outcomes. I think really highlighting 2 different processes really kind of helps to explain how we got to where we got to receive the ratings we did. And that is overall our bedside shift report, as well as our multidisciplinary rounding we have with patients each and every day. But the bedside shift report occurs between our nursing staff whenever they're handing off care for patients. So whether it be at the beginning of the shift in the morning or the end of shift in the evening, when they're handing off patient care between nurses, they have bedside shift report between those nurses as well as the patient to explain what happened in that shift before, where they're at in the process of care overall for that patient, and where they anticipate things happening over the next 12 hours while the new nurse is coming on to take care of the patient. So really clear communication between the nurses switching shifts, as well as the overall patient, what's going on with their care. So great things there overall. And then the multidisciplinary rounding really relates to, it's a rounding process we have every day. It includes our medical staff or our physicians caring for those patients, our nursing colleagues, as well as our rehabilitation colleagues. So physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, all actively involved, as well as our discharge planning to make sure we're planning for what's going on with that patient each and every day of their care, and getting that patient well prepared to go home after their stay at our hospital. So overall, just 2 very effective processes to improve communication for our patients on a regular basis.
Yeah, and going off that multidisciplinary rounding thing, is that what you called it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. So multidisciplinary rounding, and that seems important to me. I mean, luckily I've never gotten in this situation before as a patient, but I would think that if you've got someone in the hospital for a certain situation, right, you're trying to get things better with respect to whatever it is they're in there for. But there are plenty of other factors as well that you kind of have to keep in check. And it sounds like, you folks are doing that from this. Is that kind of what it is?
Yes. Yes. I think if you look at a more historical approach, a lot of times physicians rounded without the nursing colleagues, the therapy staff involved, as well as our discharge planning team. And then you have the doctor communicating certain things, you have the nursing staff communicating certain things. Therapy may see the patient later in the day and have different communication. But when they're all there together, it's kind of one unified message, and everybody's on the same page to say, okay, here's what's going on across the different facets of care for this patient. So the patient gets an overall update of what's going on with a variety of different disciplines. But then also our care teams are fully on the same page with that patient. And it's an overall just kind of a nice, unified, concise messaging to the patient. So it's just concise, clear communication to that patient and their family and what's going on with that patient's care. But overall, it's kind of a best practice. If you take a look at, across the country, if you look at different research and what's recommended, multidisciplinary rounding is one of the things that's highly recommended for effective patient care. So our team does a really great job of that, and certainly want to recognize them for their efforts.
And I think that recommendation you were talking about, it probably shows in the fact that you folks are doing it and got the 5-star rating. And then the other thing that you mentioned, and I want to go back to, are the bedside reports for when shifts are handed off. For as far as I can tell, and again, luckily I've not been in this situation, but I would imagine that, like, if you're a patient, right, and you've been talking to one of the nurses about how you're feeling, you would not like to ideally have to re-explain it, right, to the whoever's next on the shift, if they have a way to communicate that. And that, of course, is if the patient is like awake and lucid, which might not be the case. Is that kind of the thinking there?
Yes, yeah, it certainly is, Reed. Overall, patients have a lot of concerns when they come into the hospital, and sometimes they feel comfortable voicing those types of issues, and other times they do not. And certainly patients, when they're admitted to the hospital, are in a bit of a vulnerable position. So having the ability for our team to reach out and actively ask them to be able to communicate more effectively with our nursing staff, as well as our nursing staff better communicating with each other and back to the patient, overall just really improves that feedback loop on communication between the patient and our nursing staff. And overall, again, bedside shift report is just another one of those things that's another proven effective thing from a research standpoint to be effective for patient care. So the more that we can improve the quality of communication, really truly improves the overall quality of care to our patients.
And I know that is what is important to you folks. And well, you got it with those 5-star ratings. So happy for you folks there. Aaron Puchbauer, President and CEO of Taylorville Memorial Hospital, is my guest in this part of the WTIM morning show. Let's take a break. And when we come back, we'll continue our conversation right here on the WTIM morning show on your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.
Let's check the markets now on the RFD radio network. I'm Jim Taylor. Lower across the board with corn, beans, and Chicago wheat. July corn down 9 3/4, 403. September corn down a dime, 411 3/4. December corn 431 1/2, down a dime. July beans down 14 3/4, 11 1/2. August beans down 14, 11 22 1/2. November beans 11.41 1/2, down 14 3/4. July Chicago wheat 574, down 4 1/4. July KC wheat up 3 1/2, 614 1/2. August bean meal 302.30, down $1.90. August bean oil 69.45, down 37 cents. Livestock trade August feeders 366.67, down 317. June live cattle down 65 cents, 256.80. July lean hogs 92.87, down a nickel. Energy market August Brent crude oil 72.88, up 89 cents.
Hi, I'm Drew Peabody with First National Bank on Spresser, and I've got great news for future homeowners. Through the Federal Home Loan Bank's Down Payment Plus program, qualified buyers may receive grant funds to help with their down payment and closing costs. That means less out of pocket and a faster path to owning your home. If rising upfront costs have been holding you back, this program could make all the difference. Give me a call today at 287-2003. Let's open the door to your new home together. First National Bank on Spresser, the quality bank. Equal housing lender.
Pool season is in full swing at Southern Ledge Pools and Patios in Taylorville. They have just what you need for a fun-filled summer. Come in today and stock up for entertaining with 15% off all syrups, pellets, and charcoal, plus 10% off in-stock grills and outdoor kitchens. Don't miss out on these hot deals. Get your backyard ready for the ultimate summer adventure. Visit us today at 306 East Main Cross in Taylorville. Southern Ledge Pools and Patios. Let's make your backyard dreams come true.
If you're looking for music that stood the test of time, join me, Randy Miller, Sunday mornings from 6 to 8 on 96.5thechill.com. I host Steady Ground Replay, a 2-hour journey back to the roots of contemporary Christian music. From the songs that started a movement to the hits that formed our foundation, it's 2 hours of timeless encouragement. Steady Ground Replay, standing on the music that built our faith. Sunday mornings 6 to 8 on 96.5thechill.com.
Perry Stampa here, owner of Central Illinois Truck Service, just off I-70 in Greenville. Let us repair your diesel engines with state-of-the-art equipment, a brand new facility, and certified technicians. Find out more by clicking our icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
SIU Center for Family Medicine is here to help with back to school and sports physicals. Healthy kids learn better and play harder. Call 217-824-1134 today to schedule your appointment. That's 217-824-1134. SIU Medicine, forward for you.
WTIM.
We're back on the WTIM morning show on your information station. It's sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. I'm your host, Reed Kamai, and I continue my conversation with Aaron Puchbauer, President and CEO of Taylorville Memorial Hospital. And I want to talk now about the mobile health unit that you folks are working towards. Talk a little bit about what this would entail and how you're hoping to get there.
Sure. But we are taking a look at right now, working through our foundations across Memorial Health. Memorial Health consists of 5 hospitals and a lot of different physician clinics across Central Illinois. So we serve markets not only in Taylorville, but also Decatur, Springfield, Lincoln, and Jacksonville. So overall, taking a look across our footprint throughout Central Illinois, we've really been working with a lot of our foundations to raise money for a mobile health unit. This would be obviously, like it describes, a mobile kind of bus or van that would be able to take across different communities and counties across Central Illinois to better serve the health needs of the community as a whole. So overall, a lot of rural communities are underserved as far as healthcare services go, especially things around primary care and dentistry and mental health. So certainly having the ability to better meet patients where they are in their communities, be able to meet some of their healthcare needs is really a huge factor in being able to improve the quality of health for the community as a whole. So these mobile health units would help us be able to provide better care and better access to care.
And I feel like we hear the phrase a lot, meet people where they are. And it sounds like your mobile health unit would do quite literally that. In terms of what's inside, are we talking like, things in like a typical outpatient exam room or what's that?
Sure.
Like?
No. And we've kind of taken a look at how we'd want to be able to set these up. They can be set up for a variety of different things. Some of them are set up to be able to provide a lot of things just as simple as basic dentistry. And there's a lot of people who have unmet dental needs that impact various needs of their health. And certainly if they have issues being able to eat quality food, that impacts their health in a variety of ways. But also would be able to help things as simple as being able to provide blood pressure checks, glucose checks, being able to provide different things for medication adherence and things like that are all things that kind of help identify things that people may be suffering from day to day. And one, that may not realize it because they're not getting those things checked on a regular basis. And 2, if they're going unchecked, could exacerbate to a variety of different healthcare concerns and needs for those patients. So being able to be out in the communities with a mobile health unit like this will allow us to be able to offer access to a lot of basic testing for patients and be able to provide them with a good follow-up care and be able to really provide a lot of early detection.
Yeah. And in terms of what you mentioned about, just kind of spotting any potential, areas of concern, and that can be the first step to helping people get the wider care that they need with this mobile health unit. Now, we were talking during the break. It sounds like this kind of ties in with the Memorial Health Championship, the golf tournament that happened just this weekend, was it?
Yeah, that's correct. Each year, Memorial Health does sponsor the Memorial Health Championship. It's presented by Memorial Health as well as LRS out of Springfield. But it's a golf championship that takes place Thursday through Sunday. So the tournament started last Thursday. It ended yesterday. The overall champion for that event was Drew Nesbitt, who's a Canadian golfer. But overall, the Memorial Health Championship is part of the Corn Ferry Tour, which the Corn Ferry Tour is the golf tour that's directly below the PGA Championship Tour.
Okay.
So a lot of the golfers that come on the Corn Ferry Tour that participated in the tournament last week are guys trying to make the PGA Tour, or maybe guys who have been on the PGA Tour and they're trying to make it back. Could be golfers rehabbing from injury and needing to get back to the PGA Tour. So really a very high level of golf, really high quality candidates and golfers that are playing in that tournament. So overall, it's a nice fundraising opportunity for Memorial Health to help be able to fund a mobile health unit going forward. So
Yeah.
we're in the process of trying to raise funds to do that, and our foundations will continue to do that going forward.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Aaron Puchbauer, President and CEO of Taylorville Memorial Hospital. Aaron, thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Reed.
And thank you for listening. Have a great day.
The Big 870 WTIM Assumption Taylorville. 96.1 FM Taylorville. 107.5 FM Shelbyville. 107.9 FM Pena Nokomis.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. The Supreme Court agrees to consider Arizona voting laws passed